am Cody Darkstalker, and I'm doing the Booktube Newbie tag. I've been meaning to get around for this forever, and I'm finally sitting down and doing it. So, there are 10 questions. 10 questions! And I'm going to answer them all. Number 1. Why did you start this channel? Actually, I didn't start this channel to do booktubing. I started this channel originally forever ago because I was friends with a bunch of, like, alt and goth blogger girls, and we like blogged together and made YouTube videos, all of which have thankfully been deleted forever, I think. And that was originally why this existed. And then I was like, oh, like I have this YouTube channel. What am I going to do with it? And eventually I was like, I should restart this back up. The priority at that time when I was thinking about it was to do gaming videos, and since then I've expanded with what I want to do because I think that it's a lot more fun to just do everything that I want instead of just like one thing that interests me. So, number 2. What are some fun and unique things you could bring to Booktube? I don't know, fun and unique. I read a pretty diverse selection of books. Books on things like BDSM, parasites, vampires, werewolves, zombies, post-scarcity societies, transhumanism. I also like history books. I read a lot of audiobooks. Do you read audiobooks? Listen to audiobooks. And I also read comics, manga, graphic novels, and things like that. So I'm hoping that, like, what I can add to YouTube is just, like, my take on a lot of different sorts of books, as opposed to just one kind. I sort of lack focus in my reading. Also, like, I'm kind of a badass. Like, look at all this shit going on. Can I be, like, the bad girl of Booktube if I work hard enough? That'd be cool. I can be like, oh, I'm so tough and cool, but I read books. Yeah. It sounds kind of awful, but I love it. So, number 3. What are you most excited about for this new channel? Sharing my feelings about books and nerding out with other people who read and getting book recommendations? Actually, no, it's basically just book recommendations. All I'm waiting for is to, like, go through the comments and be like, book recommendation, book recommendation, book recommendation, download, download, download. Like, I am a big fan of my Kindle, and I'm hoping to eventually, like, fill it up to the point where I need a second Kindle. And then, like, a third and a fourth. Like, I want a bookshelf that's nothing but, like, neatly organized Kindle e-readers at some point in my life, just because I've run out of physical space. Okay, so, number 4. Why do you love reading? Dude, like, you learn stuff, and you go on cool adventures, and people bring up interesting things. Also, I was, like, that weird antisocial kid who, like, traveled with a bunch of books in their bag all the time. Like, family reunion, there's me rereading Lord of the Rings in the corner. Class field trip, there is me rereading The Hobbit in the corner. Going to another kid's birthday party. There's me with the new Harry Potter under my arm, looking really unenthusiastic about being there. And I still kind of do that. I listen to audiobooks when I'm, like, out in public so I can avoid talking to strangers. It's really unhealthy. You probably shouldn't, like, follow my lead on that. Number 5. What book series got you into reading? Oh, Goosebumps. I had Goosebumps. I had Give Yourself Goosebumps. So, when I grew up, we didn't have, like, a shit ton of money. Sorry, pardon my language. But we didn't. And one of the great things about books was that you could get them cheap. So you could go to the library, that was obvious, but, like, still kind of problematic because getting a ride all the time was annoying. And sometimes I wouldn't be able to get back, and then there'd be late fees, and that would be more money. But garage sales. So one of my grandmothers used to go to garage sales and buy cardboard boxes full of just, like, paperbacks. And one of the things that she was always bringing back was, like, these, like, tattered, yellowed, like, oftentimes smelled like cat pee copies of, like, Goosebumps books. And once I got a few of them, she just started finding them everywhere. Like, she told all her coworkers, oh, if you see any Goosebumps books at a garage sale, let me know. And people would sell them for, like, a box, like a big box full for, like, $3. So that was my childhood. The other one that I was really into was my uncle bought me, like, my first really nice new, like, big, like, hardback book, and that was the Chronicles of Narnia, which was really weird because he was Jewish and I was raised pretty much without religion. So apparently there was a bunch of Christian overtones in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe that, like, I just was not a part of. Completely over my head. Like, even today, I'm just like, wait, what do you mean it was a metaphor for Jesus? He was a lion. Jesus isn't a lion. What? So, number 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I don't know if I have favorite booktubers. The people I know who, like, led me to finding the booktube tag were the Vlog Brothers, Hank and John Green. And, oh my goodness, they already answer so many questions. I don't feel like I could add to that conversation. I guess it would just be like, give me more book recommendations, please, like, all the time. Like, they should just do a video a month where it's just like, here's this month's book recommendations. That would be ideal. Or maybe they already do it and I'm just too dumb to know. But I don't think that currently exists, but it should. Number 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Oh my goodness. I think my biggest issue is that I don't tend to read, like, things as they're coming out. Like, I get reviews of books from friends, and they're like, there's this book that came out in the 70s, but it's amazing, and you should read it. And then I want to read it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, sorry, current bestseller list, I am putting you on the back burner. I get a lot of books through my library, too, so, like, I just don't have access to things as they're coming out. Which kind of sucks, but also doesn't really matter to me. Like, spoilers have never been a problem in my life. Number 8. When did you start reading? I started reading in elementary school. My aunt was going to school to become a school teacher, and her college courses, like, they had a whole bunch of, like, classes on, like, working with kids in a classroom environment, and one part of that was she had to, like, bring in books and, like, make lessons plans around books, and I was kind of her guinea pig because she lived with my family at the time. So she would be like, here, Cody, come here, we're gonna read these books, or, like, read all these things from Scholastic and tell me which one you think would be, like, best to do a lesson on. So I was pretty lucky with that. It was just sort of encouraged in my house. 9. Where do you read? Okay, so this totally depends on the medium. So I have audiobooks on my phone, and these I listen to in the car, and when I'm, like, grocery shopping, and when I'm doing chores around the house, because I have the attention span of a gnat. So there's that. And then I have the Kindle. I have an old Kindle keyboard, and this comes with me to school, so I read it on, like, the bus, I'll read it on, like, the train, I'll read it on the subway, I'll read it, like, between or after classes, things like that. And then I also read physical books, but these tend to be, like, something that I have the hardest time getting around to, because I like having several books going at once. So I have, like, one book on my audiobook files, and then I have something on my Kindle, and then I can switch books on my Kindle. I have, like, 300 books on there, so I can just, like, bounce around between whatever I want. Physical books, I tend to, like, want to relax and spread out and, like, make myself comfy. So I like lay on my bed, or I'll, like, lay outside. I like going to the beach and reading, which I live on an island, so it's not that hard to go to the beach and read. But that's why I have the hardest time finishing, like, paper books, I think. Because they also just, like, it's hard to carry this around compared to, like, this or this. These weigh, like, nothing. Okay, this weighs something, but, like, not that much. Physical books are heavy and limiting in their size. Number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? Like I said, I read a little bit of everything. Most of what I read tends to be fantasy, sci-fi, horror. I really like anthologies. I actually collect the year's best fantasy and horror series, edited by, I think it's Terry Winling and Ellen Datlow. Although I think there was different editors at different time for that series, so don't quote me on that. Huge Harry Potter fan. I embarrassingly like Anne Rice because I read them when I was an angsty teenager. I really like Cory Doctorow. I like H.P. Lovecraft. I like Stephen King. I like a lot of that stuff. I also enjoy nonfiction from time to time. My favorite nonfiction writer would be Jared Diamond. I'm a really big fan of Guns, Germs, and Steel, and people shouldn't talk to me about it because I can rant. I'll be like, hey, I have feelings about this particular book on human history. Yeah. I also really like, I think it's Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States. I used to be a history major and an English major before I gave all that up to be an artist, which, you know, I figure was equally likely to get me a job when I was a grown-up. And of course, I really like comics and graphic novels. I've said that before, and I do the pull list. So if you're more interested in hearing about me talk about comics and graphic novels, you should check out the pull list. I will put a link to the playlist in the doobly-doo. If you're just interested in things I read, I will also be putting a link to my Goodreads profile in the doobly-doo. You can check it out. I think you can friend me on there. I'm not 100% certain on the, like, adding people and interaction level of Goodreads, because I tend to just use it as a way to keep track of my to-read list, current reread list, things I used to read list, so that's that. So yes, Booktube newbie tag complete. Bam! Owned it, right? I mean, like, as much as you can own a book reading tag, but whatever. I'm going to be going through more of the Booktube tags. If there's one in particular that you want to see me do, leave me a comment. Let me know. Like, subscribe, talk to me, send me messages. I want to hear from you guys. I also really want your book reviews and book recommendations. So please let me know what I should be reading. I'm probably not reading it because I am not that cool. So I'm Cody Darkstalker. This has been the Booktube newbie tag. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night, goodbye. Spay and neuter your pets. Bye-bye.